Hello and welcome back. In the previous few lessons, when we wanted to set breakpoints, we will look for strings and we will set the breakpoints on strings. In this lesson, I will show you an alternative, which is to look for intermodular calls and to set breakpoints on them. So let's begin. Let's open the crackme1 file with the x64dbg. Now we'll run to the entry point by clicking on Run or pressing F9. Be sure to be in the user module space, which is the entry point, before you proceed to the next step. In the previous methods for searching for strings, we also had to ensure that we are already in the user module space before we look for strings. So in this method where we look for intermodular calls, we must also ensure that we are in the user module space. Now, to look for intermodular calls, we will right click and then scroll down and look for the search for item, menu item, and then look for current module, and then here previously we selected string references, but now we are going to select intermodular calls. Just click on it and we get a list of results. So this is a list containing all the intermodular calls that are made from the user module. The user module, as you will recall, is where the address space begins with 004. So these are all the source of the calls. So these calls are being made from these addresses which are in user space. And you can see it is quite a long list. And all these calls are window API functions, also known as Win32 API. And from here, we can look at and inspect any of the window API function calls that we like to examine. So for example, there is get message here, and there's also the get dialog somewhere here. So over here, get dialog item text. So we have seen these two before. So if we wanted to quickly go there, we can just double click this address, or we can right click and follow in this assembler, either way. So we can just double click and we go directly to the get message over here. Alright, let's go back to the references again where the list is shown. If we wanted to find all the get message intermodular calls, then we can search for it down here. Just type get message and you find there is one here. And then from here we can double click and go directly to that address over here, get message. Then let's go back to references, and if you wanted to search for message box, we just type message box and we list out there are 3 message boxes which are being called by our user module, all 3 of these, and we can click on this to go to the first result, and it shows us this is where the about message box is being shown, and then we go back to reference, click the second one, double click, and then here is where the congrats message is being shown. And if we go back to references and click the third one, here is where the sorry with wrong serial key message is being shown. And we can just put a breakpoint anywhere we want. Another way to put breakpoint is from the result here. To put a breakpoint there, we can select it and press the key F2. You can press F2 here again and click here and press F2. So now we have 3 breakpoints. So you can go and take a look at the double click on the first one and see the first breakpoint has been set for the first message box intermodular calls. And the second breakpoint is here, and the third breakpoint is here. Like that. So this is how we can search for intermodular calls and narrow down the list and then put breakpoints on them. So let us remove our breakpoints now. Right click and remove. Or we can just select and remove, delete. So the list of breakpoints are listed here. We can select all 3 and click and press on delete key to delete all the breakpoints. Okay, so this is how we can search for intermodular calls and set breakpoints. And that's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.